there, my fishy friends, and welcome back to another installment of Vedder River Coho underwater. In this video, I went way up high in the river, close to the fishing boundary, to show you some of the fish that have made it all the way up this heavily pressured system. The Vedder River probably sees more angling pressure than any other river in Canada, and these fish have run a gauntlet of hundreds, if not thousands, of fishermen. And by the time they make it up here high in the river, you can definitely tell they're a little bit tired and a little bit beat up. Also, I found it interesting that there seem to be fewer hatchery fish up here. The Chilliwack River hatchery gets something like 20 or 30,000 hatchery fish returning to the spawning channels. So by no means do the anglers catch all of them, but I bet you a decent percentage of them get picked off along the way. So that's one of my observations about these fish high up in the river. Of course, the color of them is not nearly as chrome as it is down low. Some of these fish rocket up the river. It only takes them a couple of days to swim the whole thing. Other fish rest in every other pool, and it takes them a while, and it takes them a week or two to make it high up in the river. And those are some of the darker fish that you see in this video. Here up high in the river, they sometimes take a rest for a while and just wait as their bodies slowly morph into their final spawning colors, and then they head off and spawn. Definitely, I see a fair bit of fishing damage in these fish. There's split fins, little pokes and scratches. And it kind of makes me think about, okay, well, what can I do to minimize this sort of incidental harm to the fish? And there is no clear-cut method. If you find yourself fishing a big, thick school of fish like this, I don't think there's anything you can do to completely avoid foul-hooked ones. Doesn't matter if you run a spoon or a jig or some roe or a bead through this thick school of fish. Some of them will end up foul-hooked. So I don't know what the answer is. Matt Sharp from Pacific Angler really likes to hammer on this point, which I think he's 100% right. That as an angler, it's your responsibility to do your best to avoid foul-hooking fish. And that means if you find yourself foul-hooking 3 or 4 fish in a row, then you really need to examine your approach and change it up somehow. Maybe change up your depth, the angle of your drift, change up the gear. Change it up to a really small hook that isn't going to accidentally hook the fish. Maybe change from drifting roe to drifting a little jig that's not likely to hook up on a fish. Definitely, I would say some of the larger jigs, jigged vertically up and down through a school of fish like this, are some of the worst fishing methods possible. But I leave that completely up to you. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fish, that's for sure. All I want to do is encourage you to think. And yeah, it's going to be a few more minutes of this left. It was a hard edit. I had 45 minutes of video like this to show you guys, and I had to narrow it down to like 8 minutes and then really figure out what I wanted to say. I did this voiceover, I don't know, this is probably version 10, and some of them ended up quite long. This one's getting there, so I'm going to shut up now. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope to see you out there on the river.